Part 51. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 503. 501. Things that are not natural forces must be solved in unnatural ways. When Huo Yingjia heard He Tianatian's conversation, he seemed to understand but not understand, his eyes kept changing. But he lowered his head, and neither He Tiantian nor He Jingyu saw him. After dinner in the evening, He Jingyu sat on the Huo family's sofa, drinking tea and chatting. By the way, Lao He, what were you going to say on the train before? You were so mysterious, I was afraid that the walls had ears. Huo Jekan said. He Jingyu has always been honest, not the kind of person who talks what he means. I was just about to tell you. He Jingyu put down the cup in his hand. Here's the thing, the back hill of Kijia village. He Jingyu told everything about what he saw in Kijia village, as well as the good weather in the village, and the dramatic increase in newborns in recent years. Hearing Huo Jekan, Zhang Lifang was stunned. Old He, this is feudal superstition, Huo Jekan stammered. There is such a thing in the world, it is completely opposite to their previous values. Yes, if someone else told me, I would definitely report it. Zhang Lifang said. You are a technology worker, how can you believe this? Seeing that the couple didn't believe it at all, He Jingyu said with a wry smile, before I went to Kijia village, I was just like you, I didn't believe this at all. But hearing is believing, seeing is believing. I saw it with my own eyes. Yes, I can't help but believe it. Tian was also there at that time, just ask Tian. He Tian nodded repeatedly and said, Uncle Huo, Aunt Zhang, neither my father nor I are liars, and there is no need to make up such a story to deceive you. Huo Jekan and Zhang Lifang looked at each other in confusion after hearing this. In the hospital, Dr. Zhang was at his wit's end. Now we return to Nanxi and see if Yingjia can restore his previous memory. If it can, that's the best. If it's impossible, normal means have no effect. Why not try what about other methods? Anyway, Shuping and I are here in Kijia village, so we won't wrong Yingjia. He Jingyu continued to persuade, with the attitude of treating a dead horse as a living horse, it is better to be helpless and do nothing. This. Huo Jekan hesitated. Yes, they don't trust others, but Lao He's family can be trusted. Besides, Lao He, there is no need for Tian to lie and deceive them. Brother Huo, sister-in-law, if it were anyone else, I wouldn't say anything if I were beaten to death. But I also watched Yingjia grow up. You can see that his IQ is still so high, but his EQ is much lower than before, and many people are no longer sophisticated. But isn't this the kind of soul that was mentioned before? Maybe one of the 3 souls and 7 souls is missing. At this time, Huo Jekan was dubious. On the contrary, Zhang Lifang was more decisive at this time and said, okay, what Jingyu said is true. If Yingjia is still not well in Nanxi, he will be sent to Kijia village to recuperate. Anyway, we cannot give up treatment until Yingjia recovers. Seeing his wife say this, Huo Jekan also nodded and said, okay, just treat it as recuperation. With Jingyu and Shuping here, we can rest assured. Seeing that the couple agreed, He Jingyu nodded and said, I have to give it a try. Anyway, I think Kijia village is evil. Apart from those strange things, the peach trees I planted in Kijia village are much better than I imagined. The Queen Mother's flat peaches don't taste like that. I'll probably start harvesting peaches when I go back tomorrow, and I'll send you some so you can taste this year's fresh peaches. Oh, hearing you say that reminds me of the peaches you sent to our family last year. Anyway, I have never eaten such delicious peaches in my life. Zhang Lifang said, the taste was so good that she wanted to swallow it. Yeah, we didn't expect the taste to be so good, He Jingyu said with a smile, so I think it has something to do with the location of Kijia village, and after staying in Kijia village for a few years, my health has improved a lot and the sleep quality is great. Upon hearing this, Zhang Lifang was surprised and said, "How has your sleep quality really been improved?" "Yes, it's almost till dawn now," He Jingyu said with a smile. "It's a holy resort, but because it's very remote, people from the outside don't know how good it is. If I didn't go there, I wouldn't know about it." "Haha, that's good," Huo Jekan said. "No wonder you are reluctant to come back now. It's true that I can't bear to part with it. The people there are simple and simple. Shuping and I both have a plain temperament and prefer it there. Furthermore, there, I can continue to study my peach trees and take care of my life and career." He Jingyu was very satisfied. Life now. It would be even more comfortable if Huo Yingji could recover soon and his daughter would finally get married. He Jingyu and He Tiantian went home to rest. Of course, every day, He Tiantian would put Huo Yingji to sleep first before she left. When she got home, He Tiantian felt ashamed and said to her parents, "Dad, go back and tell your mother, I will go back to take care of her as soon as possible, and ask her to take care of her health." He Tiantian cherishes the family relationship now and the changes from the previous life. Especially when she is about to have a younger sister or younger brother, an additional relative. No, if you add the grandmother, there are two more close relatives. It's just that her mother is old, and she is worried that her mother's body cannot bear it. You have a foster mother at home, and there are so many people in the village. I am also here to take care of your mother. Don't worry, He Jingyu said, you stay here with Yingja for a while. If it doesn't get better, you can take Yingja back. Let's go ask the dragon and take a bath in the hot spring. Maybe it will be useful. Yes, He Tiantian agreed. Dad, please be careful along the way. We have no shortage of things at home. Buy some more to replenish your mother's health. That's natural, He Jingyu said. He and his wife not only received wages and special allowances from Huai City, but also received money from Kijia village, which was enough to ensure that the family lived a very good life. The father and daughter talked about some things, and then they went back to their rooms to rest. Early the next morning, Huo Jekan went to work, and Zhang Lifang, He Tiantian, and Huo Yingja escorted He Jingyu to the train. With an elderly foster mother and a pregnant wife at home, He Jingyu was eager to return home and wished he could fly back with wings. Although he was worried about his daughter, He Jingyu also knew that his daughter had grown up and had her own ideas. He Jingyu respected his daughter's choice. With the Huo family and his wife here, he was not worried about He Tianation's safety. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 504. 502. Seeing the train leaving, He Tiantian felt reluctant and shed tears involuntarily. Zhang Lifang felt guilty when she saw He Tianation's tears, but she didn't know how to comfort He Tiantian. She only said in her heart that she would be nicer to He Tiantian in the future. Seeing He Tiantian crying, Huo Yingja took out a handkerchief and wiped He Tianation's tears. "Tianbao, if you don't cry, I love you," Huo Yingja said softly, coaxing He Tiantian, just like how he comforted He Tiantian when He Tiantian was sad as a child. Zhang Lifang smiled and walked in front, as if she didn't hear them. He Tiantian took Huo Yingja's handkerchief, looked into Huo Yingja's eyes, and said, "Thank you, brother Yingja." After leaving the train station, Zhang Lifang said, "Tiantian, this is the key to my home. If you don't want to hang out outside, just go home first. I have to go to the hospital." He Tiantian took the key and said, "I understand, Aunt Zhang, you are busy at work, I will take care of brother Yingja at home, so don't worry. Then I'll trouble you." Tiantian. Zhang Lifang was moved and took out money and food stamps from her bag. "Go and buy whatever you like to eat. Don't be reluctant." "Well, I understand," He Tiantian said, not being polite to Zhang Lifang. She had money but no tickets. She wanted to take Huo Yingja to familiarize herself with the past, and sometimes she had to ask for money. Zhang Lifang rode her bicycle to the hospital, and He Tian held Huo Yingjia's hand and walked on the road. Along the way, He Tian explained to Huo Yingjia, hoping that these familiar buildings could awaken Huo Yingjia's memory. By the time they walked back to Big Elm Alley, it was already an hour and a half later. He Tian had a dry mouth and hid under a big elm tree to cool off. Huo Yingjia also followed He Tian's example and rested against the big elm tree. When Huo Yingjia turned around and looked at He Tian, he found that He Tian was missing. Tian, where are you? Huo Yingjia was anxious, his voice urgent. He Tian poked her head out from behind another big elm tree and said, "Brother Yingjia, I'm here." After saying that, he retracted his head behind the big elm tree. This game was something they liked to play when they were young, but now that they are so old, He Tian has some obstacles in playing it. But for Huo Yingjia, I endured it. But Huo Yingjia didn't understand the charm at all. He just didn't want He Tian to disappear in front of his eyes. He didn't play hide and seek at all. He kept chasing in one direction and caught up with He Tian in a few steps. Ah, He Tian was surprised. "Please don't do it so fast, okay? You are so direct and quick, how can you play the game so well? Don't abandon me," Huo Yingjia said sadly, his dark eyes seeming to accuse He Tian. Under such eyes, He Tian's 100,000 thoughts of continuing to play were extinguished. "Okay, I won't leave you," He Tian said, "let's go, are you hungry? Go home and cook." Yeah, I'm hungry," Huo Yingjia nodded repeatedly, holding He Tian's hand and walking back. Fortunately, during the day, the neighbors went to work and the children went to school, so there were not many people in the alley. He Tian took Huo Yingjia back to Huo's house and let him play in the yard while she went to cook. But Huo Yingjia refused, so He Tian asked him to choose leaks and find him some work. Zhang Lifang was worried at noon and went home to visit her son, just in time for dinner. "Aunt Zhang, the hospital is quite far away, so don't rush back and forth." "I'm at home, so you don't have to worry," He Tian persuaded. Zhang Lifang had been frightened and exhausted during this period. Zhang Lifang nodded and said, "Yingjia just returned to Nanji. I was worried that he wouldn't adapt and couldn't sit still in the hospital, so I came back to see him." He Tian served Zhang Lifang food and asked her to eat quickly. After Zhang Lifang had eaten, she hurried to the hospital again. He Tian arranged for Huo Yingjia to take a nap, and she lay beside the bed and squinted for a while. In the afternoon, He Tian took Huo Yingjia to play in a nearby small park. He Tian was talking all the way, and Huo Yingjia was listening. "When I went back in the evening, I happened to meet someone at home. It turns out that Huo Yingjia suffered such serious injuries due to work-related injuries. Huo Yingjia had made meritorious service, so the subsidies given to Huo Yingjia were very generous. Nanji received orders from above and personally delivered various subsidies and tickets. With these, the Huo family's life has improved to a higher level." At 3 o'clock the next morning, He Tian lay on the wall, put his hands to his mouth, and whispered, "Meow, meow." There was movement in Huo Yingjia's room over there, cuckoo, cuckoo. This is the code for He Tian and Huo Yingjia. He Tian was sometimes not sure what was going on with Huo Yingjia. She had to get up early in the morning to go shopping at the supply and marketing cooperative, but she didn't tell Huo Yingjia in advance because she wanted to see if Huo Yingjia still remembered the password. He Tian stood on the stone bench, lying on the wall, and whispered, "Brother Yingjia, let's go shopping." "Okay," Huo Yingjia said concisely. When He Tian took the receipts, bags, and baskets prepared yesterday, she took Huo Yingjia to the supply and marketing cooperative. Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan were overjoyed in the room. "Lao Huo, did you hear that? My son still remembers Tong Tianatian's password," Zhang Lifang said in surprise. "Can my son remember the past?" Although Huo Jekan was excited, he was a man after all and was very stable. He said, "Anyway, it's better to remember than not to remember. Don't get excited for the time being, and don't ask Huo Yingja. Take your time. Well, I won't ask, so as not to scare Yingja. Zhang Lifang said, it seems that returning to Nanxi is the right thing to do. Okay, go to sleep, Huo Jekan said, the two of us have to support Yingja. If we fall, Yingja's quality of life will also decline in the future. Not only will we not be able to help Yingja, but we will also harm Yingja. What you said is that we need to cheer up, Zhang Lifang said, her child hurts herself. The couple has their own concerns, but their son's condition is much better than before, so it is not as worrying as before. He Tian led Huo Yingja down the alley paved with bluestones. Brother Yingja, walk slowly and be careful where you step, he Tian reminded in a low voice. Oh, Huo Yingja, who should not be said to be the god of Changling, responded briefly. Brother Yingja, what do you like to eat? He Tian asked. She and Huo Yingja used to get up early to go shopping, and they kept chatting along the way. As long as you like it, Changling went to Shinto. These days, like an outsider, he watched He Tian take care of Huo Yingja wholeheartedly, feeling envious and jealous in his heart. Brother Yingja, you like spicy chicken the most, can I make it for you? He Tian asked, not far from the supply and marketing cooperative, and turned to look at the Changling mountain in the dim light of the supply and marketing cooperative. The face of God. Okay, Changling High God looked at He Tianation's face in confusion. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 505. 503. At this time, He Tian finally couldn't bear it anymore and wanted to ask clearly. Who are you? He Tian asked, squinting. I am your Yingja brother. Lord Changling calmed down. He didn't know that his words were the biggest flaw. Changling God's answer made He Tian even more suspicious. She didn't want to lie to herself anymore, she wanted to know the truth. You're not, He Tian said, brother Yingja doesn't eat hot peppers, and I can't eat hot peppers that are too heavy. Only when brother Yingja makes a mistake, I will deliberately cook this dish for him to punish him. Also, now that his brain is injured, he won't react so quickly. He Tian expressed her doubts and carefully observed Huo Yingja's expression. The god of Changling looked indifferent, because he didn't know how to explain his origin. Because in front of me is not Yunur, but the reincarnation of Yunur, He Tian. In He Tianation's heart, there was only Huo Yingja, not him. Although he decided to merge, he has always been unwilling to do so, so he has not started yet. Are you the real owner of the little spin turtle? He Tian asked cautiously, are you the high god of Changling? The god of Changling still didn't speak and had no expression. He was worried that if he answered in the affirmative, He Tian and he wouldn't be as close as before. Why don't you speak? He Tian asked, where did you hide my brother Yingja? The god of Changling looked away awkwardly and said, anyway, I am him, and he is me. He Tian stopped buying groceries and dragged Changling Shangshen away to a deep alley where no one was paying attention, which was convenient for them to talk. God, you are a god. Stop arguing with us common people and let brother Yingja go, He Tian requested. Brother Yingja is a good man and he treats me well. What do you want? You can tell me directly, and I will definitely promise you as long as I can do it. He Tian directly mistook Changling God for a ghost. Is brother Yingja a good person? Then he is a murderous villain? My request? Very simple. That is, from now on, you can only have me in your eyes and heart. May I? The answer is negative. He and I are the same person, Changling Shangshan said. If I disappear, he will no longer exist. Ah, He Tian opened her mouth, but, but you guys have different temperaments, and why are you so clumsy during the day? That's because he's lazy. The Changling Lord unconsciously put He Guangtuan into his arms and kissed He Tianatian's cheek and nose. Just when he was about to kiss him, He Tiantian covered the mouth of Changling God and said, "No, brother Yingzhi can play chess, and he is very smart, even smarter than before, but in terms of emotional intelligence there is something missing. You must have done something to brother Yingzhi, taking over his body and trying to take over his mind." The god of Changling, whose good deeds were interrupted, narrowed his eyes, hugged He Tiantian tightly, and said, "You were born to torture me." Ah, He Tiantian was surprised. "I didn't." "Tell me quickly, are you bullying brother Yingzhi? Also, please let me go. Men and women cannot have sex." Snort. "Now that I think about it, during the day, we were kissing and coaxing, but why can't I remember whether a man and a woman were kissing each other? I just don't like her closeness at all." "Don't let go." Changling went up to the Shinto, his temper also rising. "Are you going to let him go or not?" He Tiantian was also anxious. She was extremely sure that this was not brother Yingzhi, so naturally she didn't like his hug, even though they had the same face and shared the same body. "You won't let me go," Changling Shangshan said. "As soon as I let go, you'll run away." He Tianatian's arm was caught and could not scratch the face of Lord Changling, so he stood up on tiptoes, opened his mouth and bit Lord Changling's chin. Oops, I have to say that the little wildcat went crazy and its bite was quite painful. However, the god of Changling is not afraid, and he will not refuse his sweetheart who comes to him on his own initiative. "I'll bite you to death. Who wants you to kiss me?" He Tiantian was also rude to the Changling god who came to her door. She opened her mouth and bit it, and immediately there was a smell of blood in her mouth. But the god of Changling didn't care at all. As long as he couldn't be killed, he would continue. He Tiantian is annoyed, but even more distressed. This bullshit god didn't care about Huo Yingzhi's body, but she still cared about it. "Isn't that okay if I don't bite anymore?" He Tiantian was scared, but couldn't get away. In desperation, she cried in anger. Tears flowed down like broken pearls. Tasting the salty tears, God Changling stopped and his whole body stiffened. "Tianbao, why are you crying? Who bullied you?" At this time, this body was occupied by the other half, that is to say, it is Huo Yingzhi now. He Tiantian was stunned, hearing the familiar tone, familiar voice, caring and loving as always, and she immediately recognized that this was her Yingzhi brother. "Brother Yingzhi, don't leave." He Tiantian hurriedly hugged Huo Yingzhi with her backhand. "Don't let that bad guy continue to occupy your body." Huo Yingzhi hugged He Tiantian, patted her back gently, and asked, "What are we doing out at night?" "Come to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy things," He Tiantian said. "You have no impression at all." "Oh, then wipe your tears quickly and let's go shopping together. If we go late, we won't be able to buy anything," Huo Yingzhi said softly. "Be obedient and stop crying. Brother will buy you candy later. All right?" Although Huo Yingzhi was more like coaxing a child, He Tiantian still really liked Huo Yingzhi like this, not that overbearing bullshit god who was always molesting others. Huo Yingzhi took He Tianatian's hand and they lined up separately. The two teams are adjacent and they can see each other. The people around were bored in queuing, and they all made fun of the two young men's clinginess, and from time to time they broke out into kind smiles. After buying things, it was already dawn. "Brother Yingzhi, you've always been like this, okay?" He Tiantian was worried that Huo Yingzhi would become a little fool in the blink of an eye. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, "Well, I always love you like this." Upon hearing this, He Tiantian felt as sweet as drinking honey. On the way, He Tiantian told Huo Yingzhi what happened during this period, and Huo Yingzhi also talked about his situation. But as the sun rose and he got closer to the alley of the big elm tree, He Tian found that Huo Yingjia's speech had become slow and confused again. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 506. 504. If it was before, He Tian didn't know why and would continue to ask Huo Yingjia. But not anymore. She knew that Huo Yingjia had two personalities in his body, or two consciousnesses. One belongs to Huo Yingjia, and the other belongs to that bullshit Changling god. He Tian took Huo Yingjia home and started cooking. Zhang Lifang was busy in the kitchen and was very happy to see He Tian coming over. Yingjia, what did you buy? Zhang Lifang asked, wanting to communicate more with her son. Huo Yingjia clasped his fingers and said, there are cucumbers, green vegetables, tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, and a chicken, 10 kilograms of rice, and 10 kilograms of noodles. Son, you are so awesome. I have memorized everything. Zhang Lifang praised. Mom is not good at cooking. Can I ask Tian to make delicious food for you at noon? Okay, Huo Yingjia nodded with a serious expression. After dinner, Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan went to work together. Thinking of what happened last night, they had full confidence in their son. They can rest assured that Tian is at home. No matter what, we must try to look forward and live forward. After the adults went to work, He Tian returned to her home, washed clothes, and did housework. Huo Yingjia followed him like a little tail. After finishing the things at home, He Tian took Huo Yingjia to school, primary school, and junior high school. Arriving at the school, He Tian found that the school had already started. As soon as the bell rang, the children ran out of the classroom one after another, playing and laughing outside. Huo Yingjia didn't respond to this, so He Tian had to take Huo Yingjia home. I bought a chicken in the morning and He Tian made chicken soup directly. When I went out, it was already simmering on the stove, so I could drink it when I got home. I drank chicken soup with some soaked tea tree mushrooms in it, which tasted particularly good. Leave half of the chicken soup for Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan to drink together in the evening. He Tian made rice, and the two of them ate it very deliciously. After Huo Yingjia took a nap, He Tian summoned the Snake King. The Snake King stood in front of He Tian, 3 meters away from He Tian, looking at He Tian quietly. King Snake, I finally plucked up the courage to test that person yesterday. He is definitely not Huo Yingjia. Is that the real owner of the little spin turtle, God Changling? He Tian asked. All her unnatural knowledge it originally came from Snake King. After getting along for such a long time, He Tian believed in the Snake King. The Snake King raised his eyebrows unconsciously when he heard He Tian's words. That person must have been very frustrated yesterday. It makes me feel happy just thinking about it. Strong force, so what? Aren't you still timid when you meet the woman you love? Yes, that is the Lord Changling, the Snake King said. What he said was the truth and he did not add any exaggeration. Even if the Lord Changling knew it, he could not do anything. He Tian frowned. With her strength, there was no way she could beat that bullshit god. However, she has helpers. Snake King, can you defeat the Changling god? He Tian asked. If possible, use secret techniques to drive away the Changling god. Upon hearing this, the Snake King felt as if he had shot himself in the foot. He had known that he was not going to watch the show. It only lasted 3 seconds, and he was about to get scared. The Snake King lowered his head and said nothing. Can't you? He Tian knew the Snake King very well. If he could, the Snake King would raise his head high and look at people with his nostrils. Now that he is so well behaved and quiet, there is only one possibility. The other party is stronger than him, he cannot defeat him, and he is too embarrassed to admit it. Well, I can't beat him, the Snake King said in a low voice, embarrassed. Then what should I do? He Tian was anxious. Even you can't beat me. The little turtle is that person's pet, and it's impossible to help me. Actually, you are the reincarnation of the fiancé of the god of Changling, the Snake King said. Huo Yingzhe has two consciousnesses in his body, and you also have two, but you don't remember the past. Ah! He Tiantian was dumbfounded. Why did it involve her again? She is actually the fiancé and sweetheart of Changling god? Impossible. It was so fantasy, she couldn't tell the difference. Let her stroke it slowly. There are also two people's thoughts in her body, but the memory of the previous life, no, it should be the previous life, has not been awakened for the time being. There are two people in Huo Yingzhe's body who have awakened due to a strange combination of circumstances. Huo Yingzhe became mentally retarded, which must be related to this. Snake King, please show me a clear path. How can I restore Brother Yingzhe to his former self? He Tiantian asked. That bullshit god is a bit dangerous. She still likes the gentle Huo Yingzhe. The Snake King thought for a moment and said, I have no choice, but you can help me. Me? He Tiantian pointed at herself and couldn't believe what she could do. Yes, you are. The god of Changling likes you and cares about you, so he will let you go, the Snake King said. If you can't drive him away, then let him and Huo Yingzhe's consciousness merge together fairly, so that they are a completely complete person. Isn't this bad? He Tiantian wanted the complete Huo Yingzhe, not a split personality. If not, Huo Yingzhe will either always be mentally retarded, sometimes normal and sometimes abnormal, or his consciousness will be completely controlled by the god of Changling, the Snake King said. He Tiantian was stunned. She didn't want Huo Yingzhe to remain mentally retarded. In her heart, Huo Yingzhe was a genius highly praised by others, not a little fool. But during the day, Brother Yingzhe will come back, He Tiantian said strangely. I can be sure of this. Brother Yingzhe has not been completely suppressed. The Snake King smiled helplessly and said, yes, Huo Yingzhe and Changling God are fighting, but you have to know that Huo Yingzhe's consciousness was blown away, and not much is left. Changling God is such a powerful existence, and it is just a matter of time before he occupies Huo Yingzhe's entire body. Ah! He Tiantian covered her mouth in horror, not believing it. But who else can He Tiantian trust except the Snake King? Is it the only way? He Tiantian choked. The Snake King nodded and said, everything depends on your choice. I have said enough and can't continue, otherwise Changling God. The Snake King said half, left half, and disappeared. When did the arrogant Snake King become like this? It must be that damn Changling God who bullies people with his ability. He Tiantian is timid, but she still wants to test the bottom line of the Changling God. She can't let Brother Yingzhe's consciousness disappear. Even if Brother Yingzhe merges with the consciousness of Changling God, he doesn't want him to be suppressed forever or even disappear. He Tiantian spent the whole afternoon thinking about how to negotiate with Changling God. Originally, she planned to take Huo Yingzhe out to play, and He Tiantian was in no mood, but Huo Yingzhe pestered He Tiantian to play, so He Tiantian took out Go and let Huo Yingzhe play with himself. However, He Tiantian made another mistake. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 507. 505. If a person plays chess, others will play against him. But there are two in Huo Yingzhe's body, so the one playing chess is Huo Yingzhe, the god of Changling. Huo Yingzhe has a relatively gentle temperament, so when he plays chess, he advances and retreats in a controlled manner, and is gentle and elegant. Changling God is decisive in killing, so when he plays chess, he is even sharper and more courageous. Their expressions also change depending on who is playing chess. When He Tiantian finished handling the matter at hand and came over to take a look, the chessboard was already filled with densely packed black and white chess pieces, regardless of the outcome. At the same time, He Tiantian also noticed that Huo Yingzhe's expression when playing chess was clearly that of two people. At this time, He Tian noticed that Huo Yingji's forehead was sweating and his face was pale. It was unlikely that the two consciousnesses were fighting in the body. Thinking of this, He Tian messed up the chessboard and said, "No more, let's take a rest." Huo Yingji let out a long sigh of relief and looked at He Tian. "Brother Yingji, are you thirsty?" He Tian asked. She noticed that Huo Yingji's eyes were gentle and his smile was calm, so she guessed it was Huo Yingji. "I'm a little thirsty," Huo Yingji said, "I want to drink honey and chrysanthemum tea." He Tian's eyes lit up and she said, "Well, I have it at home. I'll get it for you right now." Huo Yingji took He Tian's hand and said, "I'm with you. You want to drink too, your lips are dry." Yeah, He Tian took Huo Yingji to the kitchen and poured chrysanthemum honey water. 1 cup per person. While drinking tea, He Tian looked at Huo Yingji, her eyes narrowed into little crescents, cute and cute. Huo Yingji finished drinking the water and when he raised his head again, his eyes changed. This look was aggressive, and He Tian recognized it. "God Changling?" He Tian cautiously asked, hoping not. However, things in the world often backfire. He put down the chrysanthemum honey water in his hand. "This is something for women to drink. I want Dong Tian Yunwu tea. It's just so unpleasant. If Brother Yingji is the sky, then the temper of this bullshit god is like mud, or mud soaked in excrement. Chrysanthemum honey water is what she likes to drink." Brother Yingji saw that her lips were dry, so he asked her to drink water and reminded her to drink water. "This guy is good. 1 mouthful of Yunwu tea. I bother. No moldy tea leaves either." He Tian snatched the cup from Changling God's hand, poured it into her quilt, and said, "Supplies are in short supply, don't drink it." He Tian has no time to serve this great master. He Tian was thirsty, gurgling, and drank all the chrysanthemum honey water. The god of Changling was a little angry, but there was nothing he could do. No hitting, no scolding. "I want to love hard, but I am afraid of scaring He Tian. Difficult." After He Tian finished drinking and washed the cup, she saw that there was no movement behind her. She turned around and saw the god of Changling standing by the door, staring at her. He Tian suddenly remembered what she had planned at noon. Since the god of Changling came out during the day, she didn't wait for night. "Do you want to destroy Huo Yingji's consciousness?" He Tian asked. This was what she was most worried about. Changling God did not answer, but asked, "If I say yes, will you forgive me?" He Tian shook her head and said, "No. I will treat you as an enemy. Because you killed the person I love most." The person you love most, the god on the Changling mausoleum seemed to be furious. "Isn't the person you love most the most angry?" Upon hearing this, He Tian was stunned. This Changling god is so confident. Even if it is, it was a previous life, no, a previous life, and I can't even remember you. He Tian frowned and said, "In my memory of this life and the previous life, it is Huo Yingji. If you harm him it will be my lifelong regret to die, and I will hate you. Don't remember him." These words hit the god of Changling hard in his heart. What makes him even more helpless is that he cannot open the memory belonging to Yunur. He had already hurt her once because of his pride, and he could not hurt her again. Compared to possessing her, the pain of losing her is even more unbearable. "Okay, I won't hurt him. I will merge with him. We belong to the same body." The arrogant and conceited god of Changling gave in for the woman he loved. He had been lonely for too long and waited for too long. "Don't want to wait a moment longer." "Thank you," He Tian said, "you are a good person." Good guy. What an ironic compliment. However, life is short, so he should be a good person in front of her. "Then, how long do you need?" He Tian asked hopefully with bright eyes. The words of Changling God gave her hope. Seeing the look in He Tian's eyes, it was for Huo Yingji, The god of Changling said angrily, I don't know. He turned around and left the kitchen. He was afraid that if he stayed, he would get angry and scare He Tian Tian. He Tian Tian stuck out her tongue and shrank her little head. I finally agreed. Compared to Huo Yingzhe who lost everything, fusion might be the best outcome. 1 is 1, and 2 is 2. There are not many things that can be clearly distinguished. Many things are destined by nature and cannot be changed or forced. As for what Huo Yingzhe's temperament would be after the fusion, He Tian Tian didn't dare to think too much, but there was only one hope, and that was that Huo Yingzhe was alive, not only in his physical body, but also in his spiritual consciousness. At night, the dinner table was quiet. Normally, He Tian Tian would pick up vegetables for Huo Yingzhe from time to time, and Huo Yingzhe would pick up sticky dishes for He Tian Tian. Today, there seemed to be some quarrel, and no one paid attention to the other. Tian Tian, what's wrong with you? Zhang Lifang couldn't help but ask, would a stupid son be angry? He Tian Tian looked embarrassed and said, I don't know, I'm just angry anyway. Ah, Zhang Lifang was stunned, then looked at Huo Yingzhe. Yingzhe, why are you angry? I'm not angry, Changling Lord said awkwardly, eating quickly, and then left and went into his room. Snored. Not cute at all, but brother Yingzhe is better. He Tian Tian went home to rest, while Zhang Lifang cleaned up the dishes. Before going to bed at night, Zhang Lifang asked, Lao Huo, have you noticed that our son is different? It's different. He's not as silly as before, Huo Jekan said. It seems that I'm having trouble with Tian Tian, just like when I was a child. It will be fine tomorrow. Great, as long as we can return to the past, it's nothing to be angry, Zhang Lifang said. If being angry is useful, I want Tian Tian to be angry with our son often. Okay, stop worrying about Yingzhe's matter. If it gets better, it will get better sooner or later. If it doesn't get better, even if we worry, it won't get better. Huo Jekan finally figured it out. Some things can get better without just worrying. Do your best and obey destiny. Let everything take its course. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 508. 506. After that, He Tian Tian quietly observed. He Tian Tian took Huo Yingzhe to visit various familiar places in Nanxi, and He Tian Tian also found that Huo Yingzhe's behavior was not so childish during the day. At the same time, He Tian Tian also discovered that Huo Yingzhe had changed little by little. At night, Changling God was no longer so arrogant and cold. This is fusion. After merging, we are one person after all. If they are not fused together, there are two consciousnesses, which are either madmen or mentally ill, with split personality and dual personality. On this day, He Tian Tian received the peach sent by He Jingyu. He Jingyu is in charge of the peach garden, and he can usually hide some peaches secretly and send them a box. He Tian Tian read the letter from her parents and felt relieved. The mother is in good health, so she should not worry. The autumn harvest in Kijia village is going smoothly, the grain output is very high, and the family can get a lot of grain and money. Not only did I receive a letter from my parents, I also received a letter from Qi Xiaoyan. Qi Xiaoyan said in the letter that she had recovered and returned home, waiting for work assignments. The wedding date has been set, it will be in the middle of next month, and I hope He Tian Tian can go back to attend the wedding. It's not easy for Niu Daijin, and Qi Xiaoyan is finally here. He Tian Tian took out 6 peaches, washed them, and brought them into the house. Aunt Zhang, Uncle Huo has eaten peaches. My father sent them, He Tian Tian said softly. These peaches are just right and taste particularly delicious. Zhang Lifang had just taken Huo Yingzhe's blood pressure and said, okay, I can't wait to try it. How is brother Yingja? He Tian asked, is your blood pressure normal? Normal can no longer be normal, Zhang Lifang said, and I recently found that Yingja's reactions during the day are much faster than before, and he talks less stupidly. Haha, yes, it's getting better, he Tian said, and he Tian handed Huo Yingja a peach. Huo Yingja took a bite and it was already bright. He took a few more big bites and finished a fist-sized peach in a blink of an eye. Then he looked at He Tian longingly and refused to ask for it. He Tian looked at the watch on her wrist. It was already 7:30 p.m. If it were in the past, it should be the duty time for Changling God. That person is very arrogant and arrogant. Even if he likes to eat peaches, he would not show such an expression. On the other hand, if Huo Yingja, who was a bit mentally retarded during the day, saw something he liked to eat and finished eating, he would take the initiative to ask for it, but now he has not spoken. He Tian deduced from this that the two consciousnesses were gradually merging. This should be a good sign. He Tian took another peach, handed it to Huo Yingja and said, eat another one. Yeah, Huo Yingja took it and tasted it carefully. The first one was so delicious that he didn't taste it carefully. Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan saw that their sons liked to eat, so they each ate one and stopped eating, leaving it for He Tian and Huo Yingja to eat. Huo Yingja liked eating them so much that he ate 3 or 4 peaches every day, and a box of peaches was quickly finished. Huo Yingja was a little depressed when there were no peaches to eat, but he didn't lose his temper like a child, which was a good sign. On this day, He Tian took Huo Yingja for a walk near Suanwu Lake. The trees are shady, the breeze is blowing, and the blue waves are sparkling. He Tian and Huo Yingja were walking on the path by the lake. He Tian pointed at the small fish in the water and said, Brother Yingja, let's go fishing in front. Okay, Huo Yingja nodded, with a little more sparkle in his eyes, and looked at He Tian tenderly. Oops, the gentle brother Yingja is here. He Tian was overjoyed, found a place with shade, took out the fishing rod, sesame oil dough, found a secluded place, put the fishing rod, and started fishing. Huo Yingja was fishing, and He Tian took out the snacks she made by herself, eating one for herself and giving one to Huo Yingja. Today, He Tian and Huo Yingja's character exploded and they caught several palm-sized crucian carp. Brother Yingja, you are so awesome, He Tian praised, let's make braised crucian carp when we go home. Okay, your favorite food, Huo Yingja said, turning to look at He Tian. I know you like to eat sweet and sour food. There is a carp here. Let's make Westlake vinegar fish, He Tian said, it's your favorite. Tian is so nice. After Huo Yingja finished speaking, he kissed He Tianations for it. He Tian looked at the time, it was already 11 o'clock. Brother Yingja, let's go home, He Tian said, helping to carry the small fish basket. Huo Yingja put away the fishing rod, took He Tianation's hand and said, let's go home. Just then, they heard help coming from behind. A little far away, about 40 or 50 meters away, there was a child splashing in the water, and there was a woman in her 30s next to her, shouting, help, help, help. My child. Because it was noon, there were not many people here. The only ones nearby were Huo Yingja and He Tian. Although He Tian can swim, he can only swim with dogs, and cannot save others. Huo Yingja looked confused. Save, that child is so pitiful. If you don't save, it's not my child. It's none of my business. Save my child, save my child. The woman had already entered the water, and the water was up to her waist. It seems inappropriate to leave like this. He Tian was in a dilemma, so she could only help and shouted, save people, save people. At this moment, Huo Yingja seemed to have changed. He dropped the fishing rod, ran towards the child, and jumped into the water closest to the child. Huo Yingja had long legs and feet, and he quickly rode to a distance of more than 10 meters and rescued the child. He Tian was worried on the side. It was possible to save people, but it had to be done according to one's ability. When the woman saw that the child had been rescued, she quickly came ashore. He Tian was worried on the side until they got to the shore. Huo Yingzhi gave the child first aid and made the child vomit out the water in his stomach. After he could breathe, he hurriedly said, "Stop crying and send the child quickly hospital." Thank you, the woman thanked her quickly and left with her child in her arms. Huo Yingzhi's clothes were soaked. He Tian stood beside Huo Yingzhi, took advantage of the shade of the tree, kissed Huo Yingzhi's face, and said, "Brother Yingzhi is so awesome. You can't just die without saving people." Huo Yingzhi smiled. He was in good health and it was easy to save people. "Your clothes are wet, let's go home quickly," He Tian said. Although he didn't catch a cold, the wet clothes made it uncomfortable to wear. When the two went back, He Tian quickly brought the hot water from the yard into the bathroom and asked Huo Yingzhi to take a shower. She went to Huo Yingzhi's room to help find clothes. "Brother Yingzhi, the clothes have been left for you by the door. Come out and get them yourself." "I'm going to the kitchen to cook," He Tian blushed and said. Listening to the sound of water rushing inside reminded her of the heart-wrenching memories. The image of blushing and heart beating. By the time Huo Yingzhi came out, He Tian had already made noodle soup. Huo Yingzhi smiled, took out a poached egg from his own bowl, and placed it in He Tian's bowl. "You have taken care of me during this time, and I have lost weight," Huo Yingzhi said with a soft voice and a smile on his lips. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 509. 507. He Tian was slightly startled. She found that Huo Yingzhi today was very different from before. "You have taken care of me during this time, and I have lost weight," Huo Yingzhi said with a soft voice and a smile on his lips. He Tian did not bother to eat, but asked in a low voice, "Are you Brother Yingzhi?" "Yes," Huo Yingzhi tapped her little nose. "What's wrong? Are you worried about me?" "Yeah," He Tian nodded. "Yes, I am very worried about you. I am always afraid that you will be bullied, and I am always afraid that you will not be able to recover your previous memories. Now you tell me something between the two of us that no one else knows." "Still so naughty," Huo Yingzhi smiled and thought for a while. "It seems you want to eat those green persimmons in the yard again." He Tian opened her mouth slightly, a little surprised, but quickly shook her head and said, "No, no, my parents will find out about this later, please tell me again." Huo Yingzhi thought for a moment, glanced at He Tian maliciously, and said, "When you were 6 years old, you slept on my bed and wet the bed, but you were shy and later said it was me who wet the bed. I was 9 years old at the time. My mother thought there was something wrong with me and took me to the hospital for a checkup." He Tian covered her little mouth. This matter was so embarrassing. She was 6 years old, she remembered it, and she was so shy. It was so impressive that she couldn't forget it even if she wanted to. "I'm too sleepy," He Tian whispered, "and you gave me so much watermelon, so it's all my fault, right?" Huo Yingzhi smiled. There were many things he took the blame for, too numerous to mention. "Actually, it's not all your fault." He Tian still has some conscience, but she has more concerns. "Can you tell me what state you are in now?" Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, "Haha, we were originally one person, but now our consciousnesses have merged with each other, and now we have become a complete person. I don't want you to worry, but I used to have nightmares, dreaming about scenes of flying over eaves and walls, and breaking mountains and rivers. I didn't think it was real. After integrating the divine consciousness of Changling, I understood that it was not my dream, it was something I had seen with my own eyes." Hearing Huo Yingzhi explain the matter to him in a soft voice, He Tian found that he was not as repulsive as she thought and was willing to accept such a change. As long as Huo Yingji comes back, it will be fine as if he has one more memory. Then why did it merge today? He Tian was curious. After all, several days had passed and the progress at home was slow. She was already prepared for a long-term war of resistance. Huo Yingji smiled and said, there was no help before, but today I got help by chance. What kind of help? Tell me quickly. If it is useful, I will take you there often, he Tian said, worried that the fusion ground was not reliable, and wanted to take Huo Yingji to reinforce it. No, once is enough, Huo Yingji said, that was not a pleasant process, so I won't talk about it anymore. Ah, he Tian was surprised, but after hearing what Huo Yingji said, she no longer insisted, oh. Since it was unpleasant, I didn't want Huo Yingji to experience it again. However, he Tianation's curiosity did not disappear just because Huo Yingji didn't say anything, and her little head was still thinking. Today was the same as usual. They went fishing not once or twice. The only difference was that a child fell into the water today and brother Yingji went to save the child. Is it because of saving people? He Tian was thinking deeply. Huo Yingji tapped He Tian on the forehead and said, it will get cold if you don't eat it. Oh, He Tian was thinking while eating. The meal was not as sweet as usual, and it looked like he was deserting. Okay, I'm telling you, don't think so much, Huo Yingji said, although it was an uncomfortable process. If he didn't say it, He Tian would think nonsense. Actually, it doesn't matter. I don't have to know, He Tian whispered. The woman's duplicity was fully demonstrated at this time. You obviously want to know, but you say you don't want to know anymore. It's nothing, Huo Yingji said. When our spiritual consciousness was divided into two halves, we were in the liquid Hongmeng space. Now that we are willing to merge, we happen to jump into the water, and by mistake, we solved the most critical step. It's that simple, do you understand? He Tian nodded, but shook his head. She vaguely understood that the two consciousnesses separated in the water, now they need to be in the water to merge. Today, a child happened to fall into the water, so Huo Yingji rescued him and completed the step by mistake. There is God's will somewhere in the world, Huo Yingji said softly, so don't waste your time thinking about it. Well, brother Yingji is right. He Tian believed that with so many coincidences, it must be fate to have such an arrangement. Okay, can you eat now? Huo Yingji asked. If you don't eat, the noodles will be burnt. Okay, I'll eat now, I'm hungry, He Tian said, after taking a few bites. In that case, you have recovered. What are your plans in the future? He Tian looked at Huo Yingji expectantly. Huo Yingji smiled and said, hurry up and eat. I'll tell you after you finish eating. Brother Yingji, just tell me. He Tian saw hope in Huo Yingji's eyes. Her brother Yingji was the most considerate and must know what she was thinking. Hey, this little girl is a well-behaved and sensible daughter in front of adults, but she will always be such a little scoundrel in front of him. Don't you want to go back to Kijia village? Huo Yingji said, I just said that my health is not good yet and I want to go there to recuperate for a while. After all, my future father-in-law and mother-in-law did not regret the marriage when I was in the most difficult time. I am grateful in my heart. Must go and see them. But you have recovered now? Does Aunt Zhang agree with you going? He Tian was a little worried. After all, Aunt Zhang was also very worried about Huo Yingji. Now that Huo Yingji has recovered, he naturally wants his son to stay at home more. There is no need for you to come forward about this matter. I will tell my parents about it, Huo Yingji said. As long as you are happy and healthy every day, that will be fine. There are some things that you don't need to worry about. With Huo Yingji's words, He Tian nodded habitually and said, thank you, brother Yingji, for eating something delicious tonight. I originally cooked fish for lunch today, but I thought it would be rare to eat fish, so I waited for Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan to go home and eat together. It's not good for the junior to eat alone, so he Tian made noodles. However, both she and Huo Yingzhe like to eat noodles, and he Tianation's noodles are delicious and have always been highly praised by Huo Yingzhe. Yeah, Huo Yingzhe said, feeling happy and at ease. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 510. 508. Huo Yingzhe always understood that in this life, his love with He Tian was not a sweet vow of love, nor was it vigorous, but a long-lasting and natural relationship. Calm and mellow, the scent is long-lasting. After several years of hard work, I was treated unfairly in the end and was even injured. However, this was a blessing in disguise. He was no longer half-conscious, but a sound one, much more powerful. Huo Yingzhe could clearly feel how powerful he was. Although this kind of power could not be used without authorization, it also made Huo Yingzhe excited. Not only is his body strong, his brain is also clearer and his thinking is sharper than before. As for that person, he didn't end well. The Huo family had exposed that person, which could be regarded as revenge for him. As for that research, it might as well be given to Zhou Yuanxiao. I hope he can complete the task as soon as possible. Integrating the aloof and selfish temperament of the Changling god, Huo Yingzhe is not as selfish now, but he is not as hard-working and uncomplaining as before. He has only one goal in life, which is to be filial to his elders and live with the one he loves. It's that simple. As for those great principles and big projects, do them when you have the opportunity. If you don't have the opportunity, don't force it. Fame and fortune, in his eyes, are nothing but fleeting smoke. In the evening, after He Tian returned from dinner, Huo Yingzhe talked to his parents. When Zhang Lifang saw her son treating him seriously, she felt happy but also worried. She didn't know what kind of son she was about to face. Son, if you have anything to do, just tell me. If you don't say anything, your mother's hands will be shaking nervously, Huo Jekan said. The changes before were not obvious. When they came back today, they found that their son was normal, but he was no longer the same as before. Different. As for the difference, they couldn't tell immediately. Mom and Dad are worried, Huo Yingzhe said. I feel that I have recovered more than half and I have remembered many things. Thank you for always accompanying me and taking care of me when I was most helpless. After hearing her son's heartwarming words, Zhang Lifang finally couldn't bear it anymore, hugged her son and said, Son, you finally remember things. Mom is particularly worried about you. Remember, I won't forget it in the future. Huo Yingzhe smiled, patted her mother on the back, and comforted Zhang Lifang. Okay, it'll be good as soon as you recover, Huo Jekan said, although it's not all, it's still commendable. Yes, Zhang Lifang nodded and thought of an important thing. Yingzhe, you can rest for another week and consolidate. If you are well, you can take Tian back to Qijia village to visit your uncle He Wang Ant. Huo Yingzhe raised his eyebrows. Before he said anything, his mother mentioned it first. Yes, you should go and have a look, Huo Jekan said. We are your parents. No matter what happens to you, we will never abandon or give up on you. But it's hard to say for others. You are lucky enough to have met a good father-in-law. Mother-in-law. You were unconscious at the time, but they didn't dislike you. After receiving the telegram, your uncle He immediately took Tian to Yanjing. Under Tianation's care, you woke up, but like a little fool, your uncle He didn't say anything, and Tian took care of you with all his clothes. If it were me, I might not be able to do this. Yes, Lao He's family has been extremely kind to us, Huo Jekan said. They kept this friendship in their hearts. The icing on the cake is not as good as providing help when it is timely. It is precisely because of the support of the He family that they can persist until now and have a happy ending. Now that you are well, it's time for you to visit your future father-in-law and mother-in-law. First, When you had an accident, your Aunt Wang was pregnant and asked her husband and daughter to come and accompany you. Secondly, you and Tian Tian have been engaged for 3 years and have not been together for a while. It's not etiquette to come to the house. Although it's because of work, if you don't work now, you have to go there. Thirdly, stay with Tian Tian well. Although she doesn't say it, I know that she has always missed her parents. Zhang Lifang explained that she and Lao Huo. If you can't make it, let your son go. In fact, they also hope to show He Jingyu and Wang Shuping that their sons have recovered and they don't have to worry about their daughter marrying a fool. Mom, you understand justice as always, Huo Yingji praised. I took note of it. Huo Jekan said proudly, that's right, it doesn't matter who the wife is. You can't just say a few words, Zhang Lifang said angrily. Now that her son is well, she feels more relaxed. Okay, don't say anything, Huo Jekan said with a smile. Son, your mother and I have prepared some gifts in the past few days, and you can take them there. Your uncle he also said that there is a holy place for healing. You should cultivate there. Sometime. I listened to my parents, Huo Yingji said with a smile. Having considerate parents saves trouble. The next day, when Huo Yingji told He Tiantian the news, He Tiantian was pleasantly surprised. At the same time, I was even more moved. Although Aunt Zhang and Uncle Huo's actions had several meanings, He Tiantian understood that this was the friendship between her and her parents. This kind of understanding is extremely precious. Thinking of the past life, He Tiantian was kind to those people, but some people were dissatisfied, ungrateful, and cruel. But God is also fair. After suffering so much in the previous life, I now enjoy so much blessing. In the past few days, Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan were in good spirits because their son was well, and they bought gifts very carefully. It wasn't until the couple packed Huo Yingji and He Tiantian onto the train that they remembered that they hadn't sent a telegram to the elders in Yanjing. Such great good news must be told to the elders. Huo Jekan sent a telegram. Ji has remembered and is going to Kijia village to recuperate. The old man and the old lady of the Huo family cried with joy when they received the telegram. Their good grandson is better than anything else. Hearing that Huo Yingji had gone to Kijia village, he quickly asked the old woman to pack her things and have them delivered to her son in person. Huo Jekian and Huo Yingjun were also very happy to hear that Huo Yingji was well. Although the Huo family is now at the top, they have been overwhelmed by recent pressure from all aspects. Maybe they felt that losing Huo Yingji was like losing their backbone, so they were hesitant to do things and worried about making the wrong decision. Now that Huo Yingji, the Huo Jiaji star, is still there, then the Huo family will be fine for the time being. Even if something happens, they will become other people's business, not the Huo family's business. Song Chunli was a little dissatisfied when she saw that most of the things at home had been given away. It's okay to give it to Huo Yingji, but you can't empty out the house. Huo Yingqi has been living a happy life recently and doesn't care about family affairs. She has become vaguely self-conscious. If she doesn't provoke Huo Yingji, He Tiantian will not be scolded. Although this is very frustrating, it is not her parents who are in charge of the Huo family, but her grandparents. This kind of thing cannot be avoided, so we can only endure it. But since he couldn't see those people and it wasn't an eyesore, Huo Yingqi felt it didn't matter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 511. 509. On the train, through the windows, the scenery on both sides of the railway line kept receding rapidly. He Tiantian and Huo Yingji sat on the berth, looking at the trees outside and talking quietly. What a coincidence, He Tiantian met Zhang Runan, who was attending the labor conference. Aunt Zhang, I didn't expect to meet you again here. When He Tiantian went out to use the toilet, she saw Zhang Runan next door. Zhang Runan was also very happy to see He Tiantian. She and He Tiantian met by chance, and later became more familiar with each other through Niu Daijin and Qi Xiaoyan. Now, because of He Tiantian, they found their elder who had been living outside for decades. Tiantian, are you getting on the bus from Nanji? Zhang Runan held He Tianatian's hand and refused to let go. Ouch, such a good girl, why didn't she fall in love with her son? Because of his son, Zhang Runan also knew He Tianatian's parents. Regardless of family background or appearance, it is rare to find a suitable match. However, He Tiantian was engaged and had no feelings for her son. Yes. I have something to do and I went back to my hometown. He Tiantian chuckled, you must be attending the commendation meeting again, right? Zhang Runan is also a talented person, and he knows various tractor technologies at his fingertips. Therefore, he is a model worker in the factory every year, and he also represents the majority of workers in Huai City to attend meetings in Yanjing. Yes, it's all under the leadership's care, Zhang Runan said with a smile. Are you the only one? Where are your parents? My father went home first. This time I will go back with my partner to visit my parents. He Tiantian smiled, just as Huo Yingzhe came out. Brother Yingzhe, come here. Huo Yingzhe smiled and walked over. Tiantian, have you met an elder you know? Huo Yingzhe asked softly, politely. Yes, this is Captain Qi's mother, Zhang Runan, a national model worker. He Tiantian introduced, Aunt Zhang, this is my partner, Huo Yingzhe. The moment Huo Yingzhe appeared, Zhang Runan knew that his son had no hope at all. Huo Yingzhe's demeanor, appearance, and relationship with He Tianatian's childhood sweetheart are not comparable to his son. However, the son, in order to pursue and wait for He Tiantian, delayed getting married. When he returns home later, Zhang Runan must let his son meet Huo Yingzhe and make him give up completely. Hello, you're a woman, you're awesome, Huo Yingzhe praised, stretching out his right hand. Zhang Runan smiled and said, excellent. You are a young and talented man with a handsome appearance. I am honored to meet you. When you get married, you must send me an invitation. I will definitely go to your wedding. He Tianatian's face turned red and she was a little embarrassed. Huo Yingzhe smiled heartily and said, definitely, definitely. Okay, you go back and rest first. Standing all the time is tiring, Zhang Runan said. After all, this is the aisle. Standing here all the time will delay the people passing by. Furthermore, there were other people in their small private room, so it was not easy to invite He Tiantian in to sit. Okay, let's meet again when we get to Huai City, He Tiantian said politely, and took Huo Yingzhe back to his seat. When it was time to eat, He Tiantian brought the scallion pancakes she made. Zhang Runan also gave He Tiantian a few eggs and was very friendly and polite. If you take the train alone, it will feel like a long time, but now with Huo Yingzhe, you can sleep peacefully when you are tired. When you wake up, the two young people whisper their love and interesting stories. The train stopped in Nanji. Before getting off the train, Zhang Runan said, Tiantian, come and sit at my house. After dinner, I will find a car to take you back to Kijia village. He Tiantian knew that this was Zhang Runan's courtesy, so she didn't take it seriously. She smiled and said, I won't go for the time being. Aunt Zhang, you are tired too. Go home and rest quickly. Okay, please be careful and play at home when you have time, Zhang Runan said politely, and then got out of the car. However, after returning home, Zhang Runan will definitely arrange for his son to go to Kijia village to meet He Tianatian's partner and make him give up. The sooner she gives up, the sooner she can start a new relationship, the sooner she gets married and has children, the sooner she can have grandchildren. After seeing off Zhang Runan, He Tiantian felt happy and said, it's almost time. In 2 hours, we can reach Daowen County. Okay, Huo Yingzhe smiled, I can't wait to. There are more people getting off the bus in Huishi. All the passengers in He Tiantian and Huo Yingji's small room left, leaving only the two of them. Hot soup, hot vegetables, rice. It's lunchtime, and the dining car comes over. He Tiantian quickly pushed Huo Yingji away and said with a blushing face, "I'm hungry." Because he had finished eating the dry food, He Tiantian bought vegetables, rice, and egg soup. By the time we finish eating, wash our lunch boxes, and pack our things, it's already 1 o'clock. Today's train was late, and by the time they got off, it was already 2:30 in the afternoon. He Tiantian was carrying a crossbody bag and holding some scattered things in her hand. The large package was all on Huo Yingji, weighing 100 kilograms. At first, He Tiantian was worried that Huo Yingji couldn't carry it, but Huo Yingji could pick it up with one hand, so she kept letting him carry it. He Tiantian often travels between the county seat and Kijia village, so she went directly to the ox cart, the old man introduced to He Tiantian and Huo Yingji by Niu Lily. Seeing He Tiantian and Huo Yingji, old man Lu said, "Sweet girl, your partner is here to see you again." Yeah, He Tiantian smiled, "Grandpa Lu, I can't wait to go home. When can I leave?" "We can leave right away." Old Lu smiled, drank a big bowl of tea, took the whip, and walked to the ox cart. After getting on the ox cart, old Lu whipped the whip. Because the road was well repaired, the speed of the ox cart was much faster than before. "Grandpa Lu, you drive the ox cart well. Now that the road is repaired, how long does it take to go back and forth between Kijia village and the county town?" He Tiantian asked, chatting with people one by one. Old Lu was bored driving the cart, and he was familiar with the road. Seeing He Tiantian chatting with him, he smiled and said, "I am very familiar with the road, and my ox cart is relatively strong and light. It will take less than 2 hours to reach your Kijia village." The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 512. 510. Since the road was built, his business has improved. From people he knew well, he would collect money; from people he didn't know well, he would collect some grain, food stamps and the like. One person can drive a car, which is enough for a family to live on. The people in Daowen County are simple and honest, and Old Man Lu is an anti-Japanese hero. At the same time, he is cautious and no one reports him. Less than 2 hours, that's pretty fast. He Tiantian was very happy, which meant she could go home early. "Yes, Kijia village is now in our Daowen County." Old Man Lu gave a thumbs up. "Although I have never eaten the peaches in Kijia village, I have seen them, and I have never seen them so beautiful." "Peach, tut tut. Haha, yes, those are top-notch peaches." He Tiantian smiled and said, "This year all the peaches on the barren mountains are bearing fruit. The yield this year must be very high." When Old Man Lu heard this, he became even more interested and said, "Yes, you may be out of town and don't know the grand occasion." Then village chief Chi borrowed ox carts from other villages to help transport them, which cost 100. The many ox carts are majestic and impressive. What makes us even more envious is that after Kijia village was sold to the supply and marketing cooperative, one family could get at least 500 yuan, and many villages now want to introduce peaches. "Shoo, I often go to the county town and visit Kijia village." "Your parents are very busy." "Haha, they are all serving the people," He Tiantian said with a smile. No need to guess, she could guess that her father's prestige in Kijia village and even Daowen County was even higher. Huo Yingji listened carefully to the conversation between He Tiantian and Old Man Lu, with a slight smile on his lips. Seeing that He Tianatian's fair face was red from the sun, she took out a floral sun hat from her bag and put it on He Tiantian. Huo Yingji's considerate gesture earned He Tiantian a sweet kiss. With the talkative Old Man Lu, the journey was not boring. Soon after arriving at Kijia village, Old Man Lu drove the ox cart directly to the door of Grandma Chi San's house. He Tian Tian came down and took out $1 and a pack of white rabbit toffees, and said, "Grandpa Lu, thank you." When old man Lu saw this, he smiled and said, "I have grandchildren at home, so I want this bag of candy. I usually can't buy it without a ticket," he said, and took the candy without asking for money. "Grandpa Lu, we have to give you money when we ride in the car. Please keep it quickly," he Tian Tian said, insisting on giving the money to old man Lu. Old man Lu didn't want it, so he drove the bullock cart and left. "Don't forget it. Give the children more food to eat in the future," Huo Yingji said. "That bag of candy can be regarded as the fare." When he Tian Tian saw someone leaving, it was difficult to catch up. Just then, Chi Dania ran out of the yard with wet hands. When she saw he Tian Tian, she said in surprise, "Sister Tian Tian, you are finally back. I miss you." When he Tian Tian saw Chi Dania's wet hands, she knew that she was helping the family with work, and she felt very grateful that her love for this little girl was not in vain. "Yes, you have worked hard during this period," he Tian Tian thanked her. "I'm back, so don't work hard." Chi Daniu smiled shyly and said, "It's not hard, this man is so good looking. My partner is Huo Yingji," he Tian Tian said. "Come on, stop standing outside and talk inside the room." "Oh, I remembered," Chi Daniu said with a smile. Chi Daniu was still young at the time. She had long forgotten what Huo Yingji looked like after not seeing him for so long. Hearing the sound, Grandma Chi San and Wang Shuping came out of the house one after another. "Grandma, Mom, are you okay?" He Tian Tian stepped forward, holding one by the other, and asked with concern. Okay, Grandma Chi San smiled. "Hello Grandma Chi, hello Aunt Wang." Huo Yingji stepped forward and bowed. "Yingji is unfilial and makes you worry." Grandma Chi San patted Huo Yingji's arm and said, "Okay, it'll be good if you can recover. If you survive a catastrophe, you will be blessed later. You and he Tian Tian are both blessed." Wang Shuping has been worried that her daughter will marry a fool, and she has become thinner. Although she sympathized with Huo Yingji and felt sorry for him, she felt even more sorry for her daughter. "Yingji, don't scare us anymore," Wang Shuping choked and said. Having experienced such a thing once, she couldn't eat or sleep at night. Huo Yingji was moved and apologized. "I'm sorry, Aunt Wang, for making you worry. I will not do such dangerous work in the future." "That's good," Wang Shuping said, slightly relieved. He Tian Tian took out a handkerchief to wipe her mother's tears and said, "Mom, you have lost weight. Don't cry. You are worried about me and brother Yingji, but you should also take good care of yourself. The younger brother or sister in your belly is also very important. You are all my life." Wang Shuping touched her daughter's face and saw that her daughter and future son-in-law were well, which was better than anything else. "Where's Uncle He?" Huo Yingji asked. "Reunion is a happy event, and he hopes everyone can be happy. He has gone to the back mountain." "Yingji, please sit down and rest first," Grandma Chi San said. "I didn't tell you before you came that the room at home was not tidied." Chi Daniu smiled at the side and said, "Third Grandma, don't worry. I wiped the mats in Sister Tian Tian and the guest room 2 days ago, and I also cleaned the house. They are clean and not dirty. People can live there directly." "Big Niu is such a diligent girl," Grandma Chi San praised. "Tian Tian, hurry up and clean up a room for Yingji." "Well, I'll clean it up right now," he Tian Tian said, asking Huo Yingji to put her gift in the room, and then put Huo Yingji's gift in the guest room. This room used to be a utility room, but because Qi Shuliang came with his family and had no place to live, it was changed into a guest room. Although the furniture inside was old, it was indeed very clean. "I'm here to help," Huo Yingji followed and did some trivial tasks within his ability. Only Grandma Chi San and Wang Shuping looked at each other and showed relieved smiles. "Shuping, you don't have to worry anymore," Grandma Chi San said. "Yingji is fine, and Tian Tian doesn't have to face difficult choices. It couldn't be better to have such an ending, Wang Shuping said. I still kept this matter from my mother-in-law. Fortunately, Yingzhi recovered. Otherwise, my mother-in-law would never let go of Tian Tian because of her love for Tian Tian. Yes, your mother-in-law is not an ordinary person, Grandma Chi-san said with a smile. If she were an ordinary person, she would not be able to protect so many properties of the Bai family. Wang Shuping smiled and said, anyway, since Jingyu is here, mother and son can just discuss it. Your mother-in-law dares to love and hate, but she is not unreasonable. If you are so considerate, she will treat you kindly. Grandma Chi-san understood Bai Qianjiao and enlightened Wang Shuping. There was news from Bai Qianjiao, saying that after the child turns 1 year old, the family will be allowed to go to country M. I hope so, Wang Shuping said.